Alright y'all, welcome back to another video. Today we are gonna be discussing the last topic I have in mind for Resident Evil Requiem. This will be the last video I have for Resident Evil Requiem until DLCs come out or I have any other plans. But as of right now, this is the last video. It's gonna be a sad one because we're discussing the tragic story of Emily and Marie. For context, if you don't know who Marie is, she is the big stalking creature that follows you around and kidnaps Emily and puts her in a cage. You know, that enemy. That is Marie. And her and Emily were actually friends. They were cellmates. She was the one in the cell next to Emily. Let's talk about Marie first and her story. Yes, Marie and Emily, they are clones of some girl. They are not, from what context this game has given us, it doesn't seem like the little girls are clones of Grace. They're just clones that have been made, and they kept on being cloned. So, yeah, but Marie was a subject that had mutated from what we see her turn into, or what she has turned into. But the doctors have given both these girls medication to where it worsened their eyesight. They became blind. They do not see anymore. That's why Emily is blind. She can't see. It also went towards Marie. And these girls have a doll that represents them. The doll that is in the cell is the Marie doll. And then there's also one of Grace. Sorry, not Grace. I mean Emily. There's no doll of Grace. There are dolls of Marie and Emily. At least what represents them. Just so they have each other. But the fact that these girls are being tested just so they can be made for a cure to find, or not a cure, but a way to find Elpis, or to get Elpis, or to like recreate it in some way. It's just really messed up because these girls have lived a tragic life, and we get to live through one of the girls, and that's Chloe. We're not discussing her, but you know, we know what her fate is. But Emily's story is so important because of what happens at the end of the game. Grace adopts her. Emily gets cured by Elpis. Grace adopts her, and it just is a whole heartwarming thing. But basically, to continue the story is Marie was taken. They just took some doctors came in and took her, and I'm guessing they mutated her. She went through stages of mutation, and she could never return to her cell again. And Emily, now with this does sound messed up from what Emily said, but Emily was like, "It isn't messed up that I'm glad it wasn't me." Yes, it is messed up, but you know, you're okay. At least you're like one of the lucky ones to make it out. But that was her friend. Marie was her friend, and it's just sad that they both can't be together anymore because one is actually dead now, but one did live. But you know, Grace finds Emily. She doesn't know who this little girl is. She sees that she's blind, and she has a book, and we don't know what this book is, but that doesn't really matter. Grace is just confused on this little girl and why she is there. So then she starts looking around the facility more. She finds the final puzzle box to get the last cube to open the big door to escape the facility, to escape the care center. But she sees that the markings are gone, and all you can read from it is Braille. Now you can read Braille if you aren't blind, but mostly it's good. Braille is mostly good for blind people because that's the only way they can read. That's the only way they can read. Sorry. So Grace gets the key card to unlock Emily and asks Emily if she can read something for her and if she wants to escape. Emily's a little hesitant. She is a little bit confused, like what's going on. You know, she's stumbling around because she can't see. She doesn't have like a cane or anything to use. So Grace is having to pick her up and basically take her to the puzzle box to open it. So she takes her there, but Grace has to fight off some infected, of course. Why not? And then after that, Emily gets the cube, and she's like, hey, I found this. And then, boom, the wall just busts open behind them, and the creature's back. Marie is back, and she takes Emily because she knows... Marie knows that is Emily, I believe. And she just takes her. Grace goes down into the basement, and then after the whole Leon section, when we are underground, we see that Marie had put her in a cell with a bunch of candles and a bunch of dolls, and the Emily doll that is there. She had put the Emily doll there next to the bed, and she's alive, but she is sleeping. And then once Grace gets all the plugs to unlock the cell, she wakes up Emily. Emily's a little terrified. She's like, what's going on? The hell? All that. But they escape. Emily still has the cube. And, they escape. But not without... they don't have injuries. But they get to the elevator. They ask each other if they're okay. They say yes. And then, boom. Marie comes back from the top of the elevator. And Grace has to hurry up and get out of there. So she opens the elevator, gets out of there, and not without Marie coming down and grabbing her leg, trying to yank her into the elevator with her, saying, let's play, which was just, whew, that was creepy. But they make it out alive, and we kind of think that Grace had lost her foot. But no, Marie just lost her hand. And we actually get to pick up that hand, but it's really no use unless it's for the secret puzzle, which we're not going to discuss. We're not going to, even though it is with Marie and Emily related, but we're not going to talk about it. After that, they make it out of the facility. They find a helicopter and a guy named Harry. And Emily is kind of like complaining. She's like saying, I'm tired, or I don't know if I feel well, so you're kind of worried. You're like, what's going on with Emily? And then after that, Emily gets put in the helicopter, but Grace has to go find the key to it. So she goes down into the underground facility for a different area. She finds the key. She gets to Harry. They take off, not without a horde coming on, and just on top of the helicopter. They crash, Harry dies, and Emily is a little injured. You do see a blood spot on her dress, so she did get injured, which is a little worrying. We think she's dying. And then Grace gets her out of there. They go into the church nearby, and Grace is trying to save her. She's really worried for Emily. Emily is kind of dying. She's in pain. So Grace takes her down to the water treatment plant to find the exit, and Emily just is in pain, agonizing pain, and Grace is like, yes, I know, I'm gonna try and save you. And then Grace gets into this area where she has a chance to defeat Marie, so she sets Emily down and locks her in a room so Marie can't get to her. Then the end of Marie's story is right here, where Grace lights up the whole place. A whole beam of sunlight just comes down, and Marie just melts the ground. She is not coming back. She just died, and that's the end of Marie's story, sadly. And then when Grace gets back to Emily, she died. Emily is dead, but Grace is really trying to bring her back to life. She's doing resuscitation, mouth to mouth, all of that. Emily comes back for basically a split second, and she is just on the ground shaking and thrashing around in agonizing pain. And we see her mutate into this grotesque baby with a spear for an arm, just swinging at Grace. And Leon comes in and kills her. He comes and kills Emily, and it's really, really sad. I cried during the scene, but you think this is the end of Emily's story. It's not. Right when this happens, Grace just at Emily's side and just is crying and saying that she wouldn't have made it without her, because Emily kind of pushed Grace to get out of there. she knew that she thought she could save another, but Leon couldn't let Grace die. He couldn't let anyone else die, but this thing was mutated and he had to take it out. So after that, at the end of the game, when Leon and Grace escape, we find out that Leon did not hit any of her vitals, and we cut back to the care center, and Emily is still alive, and she is just in a cocoon of the monster that she turned into. She's still herself. She's just in a cocoon. She gets cured by Elpis, and she is fully cured. She gets out of the cocoon. She is adopted by Grace. She isn't blind anymore, and that's the happy ending for this story of these two characters. I would say not much for Marie. Marie did die. Emily lost her best friend, basically her sister, I would say. This story is just really sad, and once you learn more about it, even through the secret puzzle, that these two were basically sisters for each other. They were just clones of each other, but they were sisters. And, you know, the whole mutation scene with Emily was really sad, but, you know, you're just, like, really happy because she lived. Like, this story is so sad, but also really happy at the end for what happens to one of the major characters. But this is a short video. Sorry for it being short, but this was the sad story of Marie and Emily. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys in the next one, and bye.